Hello everyone, welcome back. Here is Ali Talabi, and this is our wrap-up session for Module 15, from Love Money to IPO. So let's start our session. So we talk about going public and raising funds for your operation. When it comes to going public, I mentioned that you need to usually go to an underwriter, and they will help you just to actually go with the process of raising fund. So we talk about two major type of agreements. So either you can go with the firm commitment and best efforts. You have to consider the advantages and disadvantages of each. The firm commitment, it's kind of guaranteed way of selling your shares. You are not concerned about any under subscription. However, the major problem here is what if the selling price is much higher than the actually committed price. Under best efforts, the underwriter is selling as many as he can. However, the price will be based on the selling price, which is the market price. We talk about the flotation costs. You have to include that in your calculation. There are two major type of costs: indirect costs and direct costs. Indirect costs are mainly referring to the opportunity cost, how much you could sell the stock for. So the direct costs are more specific, more precise. So we'll talk about legal costs, administration costs, accounting costs, and for sure the commission you are paying to the underwriter or the investment bank. Remember, when you talk about going public, it's not just about pure finance. It is also a kind of art, because there is a marketing component in terms of selling your shares. We talk about the roadshow, in which you go and ask potential investors to actually buy your shares. So that's a part of the marketing process. Remember, when it comes to choosing the stock exchange, you have to choose the right one, given the different currencies, different requirements and legal constraint. You might end up choosing a specific stock exchange to be listed. Mainly we talk about the NYSE, NASDAQ, and TSX, and we talk about some features of those stock exchanges. And remember, when we talk about the IPO, that's one of the examples of the primary market. We have also the additional offering, which is called seasoned equity offering, when you are asking investors to provide more money after you got listed in the stock exchange. Now, let's look at the review questions. So we talk about private placement, and we mentioned that there are several advantages of disadvantages of private placement. So here I'm asking you for the option which is not the advantage. The issue, the stock issue in this case can be custom tailored. Correct. That's one of the advantages actually of the private placement, not the disadvantage. The associated costs are much less than the public placement ones, which is correct. Much less costly. It is easier to change the terms of the contract, so you can go with the much less terms and conditions, and you can modify them. And the last one, the liquidity of the security is usually low. So this is true. The liquidity of the security is low, so you cannot resell your stock to public investors. So, which means that actually that's one of the disadvantage. So it's not the it's not the pros, it's not the advantage. That's the downside of private placement. So the answer should be D. Let's look at the second question. So the underwriter issues a firm commitment. So you have to be careful. The agreement you are making here is the firm commitment to sell 1 million shares at $20 each. So it means the underwriter is committed to sell 1 million shares under no matter what. So no matter what, he's going to sell 1 million shares. You shouldn't be concerned about the number of shares he's able to sell. And there is a $2 spread, which means that when you're selling at $20, you will receive just $18, not the full $20. How much does the issuing firm receive if 0.8 million shares are sold? So since this is the firm commitment, the number of shares which are actually sold are not relevant. So you're looking at 1 million shares. However, you, as the company, as the firm, you won't receive the full $20. You just receive $18 because there is a $2 commission times 1 million shares, which means you will receive $18 million net profits. So the answer here should be B. Be careful again. We don't care about the actual number of shares which are sold. Now let's look at the next question. So a firm sold 2 million shares at an offer price of $10. And so that's IPO date. You are selling $10, 2 million shares. The spread is $1. So for each share you are selling, you pay $1 to the underwriter. The price of the stock closed at $12.50, so $12.50 at the end of first day. So it means you could sell it at $12.50, but you were able just to sell it $10, and you just sold $2.50 less than what you could sell. And the firm incurred $100,000 in legal administrative costs. What were the total flotation costs? I mentioned the total is direct and indirect. So let's look at the direct cost first. So the $100,000, that's very straightforward. So you have to include that. And also, you are paying $1 per share as the spread to the underwriter. So how many shares you're talking about? You're talking about 2 million shares. So 2 million shares times $1, that's the $2 million. So that's the spread. That's the commission you are paying to the underwriter plus $100,000, the legal fees, administrative costs. These are your direct costs. So $2.1 million direct costs. You also have some indirect costs. You could sell it for $12.50, but you just sold it at $10. So it's $2.5 per share times 2 million shares. So 2.5 times 2 million shares you sold. So there is another $5 million here. Why? Because of the opportunity cost. So now the total flotation cost in this case becomes $7.1 million. So the answer should be D. In most of cases, we are interested to see the flotation cost as a percentage of the total sales. For sure, you can do that. So here you're talking about 2 million shares, offer price of $10, which means $20 million. That's the total profits from this sale. However, you paid $7.1 million for all these expenses. So you can calculate the flotation cost as a percentage of the total profits. So, which in this case becomes 35.5%. This is not part of the question, but if you're interested to see that what was your total flotation cost as a percentage of the total profit, it should be over 35%. Thank you very much. That's the module 15. Have a wonderful, talk to you soon. Here is Ali Talabi.